Mark and I were having a conversation in the comments of another one of my videos, and this wasn't the whole part of the conversation, but this is the piece that I want to touch on. He said, you could say that the median income has risen faster than inflation since the 90s at least. And then he also went on to say in another comment that he's going off the Bureau of Labor Statistics inflation number. So Mark, I'm glad you called me out on this, and I went into some more, deeper research on this and looked at the numbers, and I was going to use like a simple example, well, I say simple, but a narrow example of the housing market to prove my point that I don't think that's true. I don't think that the median income has risen faster than inflation since the 90s. But what's funny is the more I started looking at it, it was like close enough by the numbers that it's like, yeah, it looks like you're right by the numbers. But then I started questioning, I'm like, well, why is my anecdotal experience different? Why is it that I know people, like I have friends, that have college educations, a couple, and they both work full time, and they're not able to afford a nice house. It's kind of run down, it's older, it's got a lot of issues. So what's going on here? Like, I know back when I was young, only my dad worked and we could afford a decent house. So, I mean, that's my lived experience. So there are a few truths here that I want to bring to the light that I think deserve some attention. So first of all, if we're talking about median income to begin with, that by definition says that half of all earners are not keeping up with inflation. So that's something to consider. And related to CPI, it doesn't really measure what's truly crushing families, I don't think, because it kind of downplays housing and it will swap out goods for something cheaper if it becomes too expensive. Like, for example, oh, steak went up a lot of money, so we'll just swap that out for a hamburger in the metrics that we use to determine CPI. It also ignores essentials like childcare, healthcare, and education, which is they've all exploded. Now, since I was going to be talking about real estate, I found out something that's kind of neat too. Another perspective is that back in the 70s and 80s, they were building houses that are completely different than today's. So back then, a medium income house got you a smaller square footage house, and it was cheaper, but there was way less zoning, way less regulations. Property in general was just cheaper. So there's a lot of different factors involved with that. Nowadays, though, the median income house has changed. It's got a lot more stuff going on with it. So the house itself has progressed essentially. Like the standard of living of a median income household has gone up. So essentially, you could say the definition for a medium income household has changed. So therefore, what a medium income could afford back in like the 90s isn't necessarily what can be afforded today with what's being built, because those kind of houses aren't being built anymore, those cheaper ones. It's only the more upgraded ones. So essentially, families are being forced into a higher tier of house just to get into the market. And another reason that real estate has gone up a lot is because it's being used increasingly as a store of value. It's being used as money. So there is a premium on top of the utility value of the home. Because real estate is much more scarce than the money that we use, since our fiat currency can just be printed. As more liquidity enters the system, it's going to flow into scarce assets. People are going to start storing their wealth in it. And so property and real estate are being used as money. So that drives up the price too. So yeah, basically to sum up, the charts and the numbers, they do kind of show that. They show that wages have kept up with inflation in general. But that's not really what families are feeling. The bottom line is the numbers are hiding the squeeze. While the reality today is that two professional workers can barely afford a starting house.